9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. Liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11. Roger, Tower.
And welcome to the Alien Pro Podcast. It is Saturday, December 21st, 2024. I'm Doug. This is Matt. And we have John Hanson today from the UK. Where exactly are you from, John, in the UK?
Near Stratford-upon-Avon, Warwickshire.
Warwickshire.
You got that? You know what that is?
No.
Okay.
No, I do not.
It's a by. It's
Well,
not...
Shakespeare country.
There you
go. Okay. Sherwood Forest?
Right.
No, that's Shakespeare. Oh, no.
No, that's Shakespeare, yeah. That's, anyway, go on.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, John, how you got into all this and everything.
Well, I actually got into it. I always tell most people, or I have for the last 30 years, that I got into it after I'd retired from the police force, and a colleague of mine contacted me in 1995 and told me about having been dispatched to a report of a UFO around the Birmingham, West Midlands area. And my reaction to that was, I cannot swear on this show, but I thought it was a load of rubbish. The oddest part about all of this, and it's taken me so many years to actually confess this to you, is I had a sighting in after I retired in June 1994. I'd been lecturing at the local college about, funny enough, about UFO landings in South Africa, and I was using an old VHS machine, a video camera, because the one at the college had broken. So when I got into the house about 11 o'clock at night, after 2 pints of beer, that was all, I went to the window. 2 pints. I went to the window and looked out.
2 is all what we always tell the police when we're getting pulled over. I just had 2.
I looked out of the window and saw this. It was a circular shaped object with a piece cut out of it, hovering over a tree about 20 foot away from me. So I picked up the camera, and my exact words on the camera were, "This is taking the piss," right? That's what I said. And the next thing I know, I was asleep. I woke up the next morning, thought no more of it until about lunchtime, and then realized, what the hell have I done with my camera? So I phoned up the college, I phoned up my friends that I'd been with, and they all denied all knowledge. And then suddenly, bang, it came to me that I'd taken the film. But even then I wondered if I had. But I found the video under the bed, plugged it in, and the first things that came to me was, "This is taking the piss," and there was film of this UFO. And
wow,
that, I suppose, got me into it. And I never realized prior to that these things existed. And after 30 years, Shirley, that's my partner, and I, we have an incredible archive that you probably can't see behind me, which is probably the biggest in England. And we never set out to accumulate this. It just happened on the way with people giving us this stuff. But from a man back in 1994 who believed in UFOs after this, but never thought that they had any occupants. I always found it embarrassing to tell anybody about the film that I'd taken. But all these years later, of course they exist, and of course they have occupants. And sadly, on occasions, they can cause a lot of trauma to people. And that's how it's been for probably thousands of years. And so, yeah, that's how I got into it, and don't regret a moment of it. It is my lifeblood. I have a passion about it. I've written many books, never made a penny, by the way, but I've enjoyed making the books and researching British UFOs. But you're in California, aren't you? What part?
Sacramento, right in the middle, right in the
Oh,
middle.
Sacramento.
Yeah, the
I do
capital.
know California. Oh, right. Well, I do know California. It's my aunt used to live in there. In fact, oddly enough, yesterday my niece from Big Bear Country is
South.
over here for a few weeks. So I know LA and Vegas and is it Covina? Hang on a
Yep.
minute.
West Covina,
Something like
Covina.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it's a lovely country. I wish I'd moved there years ago,
Question.
I'm trying to.
or maybe not.
I'm trying to leave. Yeah.
Or maybe,
California.
yeah,
I don't know if you
yeah.
keep. I don't know if you keep track of
Expensive.
politics, but yeah, we don't really want to
Well, I
be.
was sorry. I think we're singing from the same hymn sheet there because
Yeah.
it entered my head as it did into your mouth, and I think we both know exactly that pantomimes are not over yet, are they?
I have to ask though, what did you think? Of course, do you pay any attention to the politics over here? Our presidential election. I'm gonna.
Oh boy.
Well,
I
You
have
were
to
right
ask.
for that, didn't you? Oh boy.
No, I'm
well,
just curious. I'm curious of what other people. We got a lot of.
Yeah.
I want to know what people think about. The two
well, I would
candidates.
say that. Yeah, I don't. Personally, I don't trust any politician. I think they've all got their
Yeah, bravo.
hidden agendas, and
Agreed.
they are all about themselves. It's
Exactly.
no different over here.
Yep.
But I always thought to myself, it was very strange that a gentleman that got himself into so much trouble will end up as another president. And
Yeah.
I do find that very odd indeed, because it was we shouldn't be getting on this subject, but it was as a
No.
result of his intervention, an incitement. That's the word for it. That people died, and I think well, things are definitely heating up, aren't they, at the moment? I think with so many traumas that are going on in the world and conflicts. I think we're all ready for something else, and it's frightening, and it's sad because is that what's going to happen to us now? But what has happened over there now? Is everything being restored as far as the government is concerned? Because
No.
there was
No.
no.
Now, the prior, the administration's still in place until January 20th.
Yeah.
So, which it was a horrible administration, in my opinion, over the
Agreed.
last 4 years.
Agreed.
And the candidate that they put forth was a dolt in your
Wow.
vernacular.
Yeah.
She is. There's no way she's. I'm gonna get skewered.
You are. Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, yeah. I don't mind talking about. I'm.
No, I know exactly what you're saying, because in a way, yes, UFOs and close encounters, they're at the end of the day, irrespective of whatever panel or whatever people discuss about them, all I would ever say is yes, we know they bloody well exist. I mean,
Yeah.
these things go back to 1948 and probably before then. But I would like to ask, who are they? Where do they come from, and what is their agenda? And the silence is deafening, as always,
Yeah.
as it always has been.
Yeah.
But yes, it's. I mean, politics overrides everything at the moment, I think.
Well, we have more of a chance for disclosure under the Trump administration. The people he's putting in his cabinet are huge supporters of the UAP disclosure effort. So we have more of a chance now to actually find out what if anything, the government, your average government doesn't know anything about this. It's well
Correct.
above that. It's in United States terms, it's above the we the people government. It's way up here.
Absolutely, it is.
And it's probably in the hands of the rich and unbelievably rich old money from back, and that from past presidents. you know, and now they don't even tell the president anything. It's on need to know, and you know, presidents they're a temporary employee. They're only here 4 years, and they move on to the next thing. These people know that. It's like, why bother getting this person involved in this when, you know, you know, they don't need to know about it. They're not going to be able to do anything about it anyway. So
I agree with you. Yeah, we're not going to. I'm sorry, gentlemen, but I don't think we're going to change anything because, as you said, it's right. It's high up on the list, and people like us will never be allowed to know exactly what has taken place. I mean, I many years ago I used to laugh because people would say to me that UFOs are demonic. That they, you know, we know that Winston Churchill himself stopped the pilots, the Allied pilots, from reporting what they'd seen over Germany and France, because he said that it would cause too many problems with religion. And you know, one has to be so careful what you say these days, but clearly, if you look into so many incidents of close encounters, where I'm talking about Close Encounter 2 and 3 and 4, as per J. Allen Hynek's schedule as such. Yeah, these are very dangerous things, and many people that have a UFO encounter or even a sighting, their lives will be changed. And also, some horrific things can happen to them afterwards, which they often deem as more in keeping with paranormal, supernatural. And then, bang, you've hit it on the head. That's the connection. And I don't think the truth will ever come out, you know.
Yeah.
Your colleague is getting restless, isn't he?
He's fixing the ship.
My spaceship. I'm listening. My spaceship is out of line back
Yeah, he's fixing his spaceship.
No, I didn't. I'm listening. I didn't. No, I didn't get bored with you or anything. I'm listening.
Excuse me. Yeah. But as I say, I've been doing it for 30 years. Fascinated. I've interviewed most of the people over here, and I thought it was about time I put together a couple of books, chronicling, if you like, what happens to people that have get too close to these things. And before I forget, one of the things that's fascinated me for years is, and if you can see that, can you see that at all?
Oh, yeah, yep.
I can't see it right. It's like a long knitting needle with a sharp
right,
point.
right.
That's better. You can see a bit better now.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Right. That was, if you look at the top of your nail of the finger on your hand, it's about half the length and it's hardly anything there.
Right.
And that was ejected from the cavity, the nose cavity, as indeed a lot of these things are, from people who have had close encounters. And that one was examined by a professor at the Manchester University. And he said it was most of the strangest things he'd ever seen. And it was hydrocarbon in origin. And the lady concerned gave me, it was in a phial of liquid, and I had it for 20 years till suddenly, and this sounds absolutely ridiculous even for an ex-police officer, ex-detective, the bloody thing vanished in front of my eyes.
What?
No way.
So whether that, now the bloody thing vanished in front of my eyes, but I've got all the photos of it.
Wow.
And at that time, I contacted Dr. Roger Lear, I think it was Daryl Sims, and sent the photographs off to them. But you know, there was little interest at all in this, which is very odd indeed. And I don't know. I mean, for me over here, in contrast to the States, the subject is much more. People are much more passionate about it over there. But I have to say, over here, there's a lot of apathy. And of course, people now rely on researching the chosen subject by going on to Facebook and the social media. And there is the problem, because you can't form any conclusion about anything without going out there yourself and doing field research work. And there's so many great guys in the States that have done that, and there are some over here, but it's I mean, everybody's going on about these bloody drones, aren't they? Have you had all this over there?
I don't want to hear the drone ever again.
No, well, that's right. I'm suspicious of it, really. Um, we shouldn't be having a wave of UFOs, in my opinion, and this is unusual activity, and it smacks of something else to me. So I suppose you've got to be careful.
It's probably our government. Our government can make these large car-sized drones that can run for 11 hours and can haul
They're
a
flexing.
certain amount of material.
It's the government flexing,
Yeah,
showing China, Russia, this is what we got. It's not UFOs at all. These are ours.
We can't even do anything with them. They're so sophisticated.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people are saying they came from under the water. They didn't. There's no way they came from under the water. And the other thing is they're saying there was 50 of them. I think more than likely they're seeing multiple sightings of. Maybe there might be not a handful, but not 50, and they're just flying back and forth.
Propaganda.
There's another story that they're trying to. It's a
no real good videos other than distant. No good pictures.
Yeah,
I don't believe. I think it's garbage.
They're stating that they're looking for possibly a nuclear.
Nuclear device.
Nuclear device that came from
a. That's right. I heard that today. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got one from when Russia was in Ukraine. You're probably more familiar with that kind of thing, but
Ryan Graves.
And then
they should be closer.
Yeah, as they decommissioned it, they just forgot about it, and somebody just I'm going to screw the top of this thing off and send it to the U.S. I don't know. It's that's the theory. Another theory is it's an actual medical supply. They say the drones are sniffer drones where they can sniff out,
That's right. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, the material. So it says a medical. They got the box. The box was open and the thing was missing. There's some sort of radiological thing.
I think it's bull hockey.
Yeah, that's probably a cover up for the other story, if anything. But they're ours, and they're just going to keep flying. Are they over there too, or they're all over the world?
Yeah, they've been all over the airfields. Been over Kent. A colleague of mine has written off to. He's tracked down some pilots, and from what I've seen over here, there are photographs of what looks like a football-sized object on the airfield itself, which then took off. But I haven't investigated it myself, and to be honest, terrible thing to say, but I find it all bloody boring, to be honest, because I don't think it's anything to do with UFO activity.
Right.
So
right.
Maybe I'm prejudiced there.
I don't believe it either.
But he's written off to a local MP, and the questions may be asked in Parliament, but the lady concerned wrote back to my colleague and said something, sort of a rehearsed speech, saying that, that whoever's responsible for these things will have the full force of the law against them if they're caught, And I'm saying, I looked at the Gatwick sighting. This was about 4 years ago, when the airport was closed off for about a week, and you probably won't have heard of this one. But it was clear that the papers explained it away by saying it was a drone. Now, not too far away from Gatwick Airport, it's a place called Pound Hill, an ancient sites. Quite often in energy lines, well, you can have UFO activity there. And over the years, I've got quite a few sightings from there, including pilots over Pound Hill next to Gatwick. So I contacted the local newspapers and the national newspapers. And suffice to say, anything I do with contacting the national newspapers means zilch. That they won't touch me with a barge pole. They're not interested. But what I did find out, because I did a report which I put into the last book I that came out a few months ago, was excuse me, was the fact that you know, there'd been a lot of activity in previous years, and that what had happened, a couple were then subsequently arrested by the police, interviewed about this drone that somebody allegedly they'd put over the airport, and then let go the next day and given, I don't know what it would be in dollars, but £200,000 the next day. And then I actually discovered that a member of parliament, who I've named, turned around and said to the prime minister something like, well, blame it on those bloody drones, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because of something like that, but you see where I'm going with all
Yeah.
this. It's power and it's influence, and not my cup of tea,
I
unfortunately.
heard somewhere where they said, you know, the best way to get people to ignore what's in the sky, what's really going on in the sky, throw some drones up there. That's all it is. It's just drones.
That's
Yeah.
correct. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's the real things that are happening are over here, but you're looking at the drones over here. So that means they're all drones, and now it's all written off. So I agree with you. I don't believe it.
But it's been like that since the 1990s.
Right.
I remember each year the Public Records Office in England released the files, and invariably the Ministry of Defence made comments, and some of the files that were released were absolute rubbish. And there was that spate or spur of energy and excitement by the media, which soon drifted away, as it always does. And come on, you know that over in the States and England, millions of people have seen things in the sky.
Yep.
Back in 1948, it was the triangular UFO.
Yep.
It was giant birds about the size of aircraft, mechanical contraptions. There were so many others that were seen. And of course, I know the FBI took an active interest in them and thought that their citizens were trying to cause chaos, but in actual fact, but then you wonder if it goes back to Roswell, but it's been ongoing for a hell of a long time, and the shame of it is that most of it is so forgotten, and then, as you say, a little spate of alleged drones is brought out, and everybody's getting excited about UFOs and alien invasions and Christ knows what. I've always said if the aliens wanted to invade Earth and take us out, we wouldn't be sat here talking, would we?
That's right. They'd already done it.
Well, you know, there's conjecture that they're using this as kind of a gas station, if you will, because of the water. But there's water all over the universe.
That's mostly water all over the universe.
You know, so water.
That's the most common thing.
Gold. There's gold everywhere.
Yeah.
You know? They have everything that's here is elsewhere. This isn't, you know, a unique planet as far as what we have, as far as minerals and water.
You know, it's not common in the universe.
I mean, what do you think about have you heard the extraterrestrial theory where these beings are actually us that have evolved in the future thousands of years and are coming back?
That is a theory, isn't it? It's I just don't know. I'm firmly convinced that whatever they are probably interdimensional. They have the propensity to fade in and out. And for all I know, we could be surrounded by these damn things now.
Not see it.
They're just right here looking. We're watching us.
Yeah. Just sit on my lap.
Well,
I got it.
But whether extraterrestrial, interdimensional, whatever you want to call them, at the end of the day, we don't really know. What I do know is that there are so many instances of where people used to say to me, well, where's the evidence? How can you prove that alien abductions take place? I can't. But what I can prove is by finding enough evidence to prove that when you get close to a UFO, a close encounter, you get a dose, a good wallop of the energy that surrounds these things.
Right.
And that causes problems, psychological. But a lot of, I met up with a guy and his wife a few weeks ago, they had a harrowing experience. Most families do when they have a close encounter. So following the initial close encounter and all sorts of medical problems,
Yep.
a lot of people can form artistic capabilities and also healing capabilities. And years ago, I would have thought if I was here talking to you about healing, perhaps if I was a priest or I was a vicar or I was a man of the cloth, but um, this happens. I've spoke to so many witnesses that have seen examples of this. So does that then take you across that dangerous line back into religion? Because surely somebody once said to me, well, yeah, how can you not believe in UFOs? There's more evidence about the existence of UFOs than there is if you go to your local church. And I don't mean to be disrespectful there, because I'm Church of England. But what I'm saying, why do we bury UFOs? Why? Why do we bury all the truths about them? For what reason?
Yeah. Well, people believe in religion and God, and they haven't seen necessarily strong evidence that that's real.
Right.
You know,
It's faith.
Technically,
it's
it's kind of like our religion, John. We're our religion is the UFO religion. That you kind of look at it like that. It's what we believe in, but it's I haven't seen a UFO before. I mean, I've been doing this.
No.
I've been doing the show probably 4 years now, and I get a lot of people on that have seen things. I've talked to people that have been abducted, and I went to see a regression therapy of a guy that had been abducted twice, and talked about it. It was really the most unusual experience I ever had, watching him talk about it. Under the trance of the regression therapist. So the evidence, I mean, you're a detective. I mean, where does this lead us ultimately? I mean, what you're working on, you're on the trail, but are we ever going to solve the mystery?
Well, you're right, but it's like climbing to the top of the hill. Maybe the adventure and the fun is getting up to the top.
Yeah,
When you get up to the top, you think to yourself, I've always said that UFOs are a Pandora's box.
Right.
That if you could open the lid, if you could look or peer through the lid of the Pandora's box at what was inside, you'd be a changed man. If you opened the lid, you'd regret bloody well doing it.
You brought up a great point. I mean, we get to the top of the mountain, we find out what's going on. Well, shit. Now what? We know what it is.
Exactly.
We know what it is.
I've been into it since '79 when I had my first sighting at 10 years old, and after about 10, 20 years, I'm like, you know what? I'm never going to figure out what these are. I don't think we're ever going to find out unless, for some reason, somehow, some way, it presents itself to us. We're not going to get nothing from the government. They're going to die with it in their cold dead hands. But I've just come to the conclusion that I'm probably never going to find out. But like you said, it's the chase. Once you get up to the hill and open the box, it's.
Have you seen the Senate hearings here, John, of the whistleblowers?
Many people have mentioned them. I have tried to get in contact with a couple of men that were involved who chose to, who were too busy to get back to me, and I understand that, I respect that. But
is it the ones that testified?
As I said to you, sorry,
you tried to get a hold of the ones that testified in the hearings, or just
yeah, I know who they are. But look, at the end of the day, I understand the excitement that happened after after this at Washington. But crikey, look, I mean, going back so many years, how many presidents have, look at Jimmy Carter.
Yeah.
Look at
he wanted
Obama was quite interested in it. Look at
Reagan.
So many, Winston Churchill over here, so many others, and it's just it could easily be well, it's very frustrating because, like we said, we want an answer when we get to the top of the hill, but we're not even halfway up the hill, are we?
No, we're not.
It's the thrill of the chase, John.
That's all it is. Only that. That's it. There is no catch. There's nothing. There's no box. You're not going to open a box.
It's like your dog when he chases a rabbit. Finally catches it and went, well, shit now.
It's not even real.
Now what am I going to do?
It's just sitting there. I can't even eat it.
Do you know much about the Bentwaters case?
Yes, I've heard of it.
We're familiar with it.
Yes.
Yeah, Rendlesham Forest.
Yep.
Because I went over and saw Colonel Holt. He's a good friend of mine who lives in Washington.
Nice.
And he helped me write 2 massive books. And I'm taking these books off Amazon, by the way.
Hot in skies.
Right.
Yep.
I mean,
Wow.
Oh wow, that is huge.
We get that on We get that on Amazon, John.
He said he's taking it off Amazon.
Oh. Sorry, that was the first one. I mean, I'm not here to try and advertise a book.
Is that on Amazon still or no?
No, I'm taking them off. What we do now, we get our own books printed.
Okay.
My books have been on Amazon for years. Amazon takes so much money.
Yep.
They leave me with nothing. And the biggest problem is if you've got a book like that, like the Holt Perspective book, which is 25 years of research. Right, that's the sort of thing that was down in the forest. Right. Those
wow,
sort of things,
that's nice.
Wow.
And I've been there a lot. But the books are too expensive. Nobody buys books these days. Not big books.
Right.
So Shirley, my partner, I've decided we'd be taking them off. And we will, in fact,
what if you
put
them in a series, cut them up, 10 series, smaller books?
Yeah, but you have to get these typeset. So if you get them typeset, you have to pay to get them typeset.
Right, right.
Rather than I've put my books through Amazon before, Amazon Kindle, and they're a right bloody mess. You know.
Yeah.
It's got to be done the proper way. So what we do now is small books. That's the series.
Right.
So we just do thin books. No more than.
Where can we get these? So we're not going to get them on Amazon. Where can we get these at?
Well, we sell these on eBay.
On eBay, okay.
Yeah. All I'm saying is that I've never made a penny out of this.
Right.
But I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed walking up the hill. Not to got to the top. Met so many lovely people, you know, and I've been thorough. And you might think, seriously, I should be like Nick Pope, perhaps rich and famous, but I'm not.
Yeah,
but I don't care.
We don't make any money either, so
yeah,
it's kind of like do it for the love of the.
I feel so sorry for you, lads.
He doesn't.
It's fun to do. It's fun to do, though. We're members of MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network.
Well, MUFON. Yeah, I've met MUFON over there. Yeah.
And you know, we've had some MUFON members up on the show, and it's fun to talk about. Some people don't want to go on camera though. They don't want to. You know.
Do you know is it Susan Swake, MUFON near Washington? It's Susan's strange name, Swake or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I remember her in a hotel room near Washington. Yeah, she was furiously trying to break off a piece of an implant in the bedroom, and that sounds a bit dodgy, doesn't it?
Wow.
Swiretech, got it. Swiretech.
I wasn't going to comment on that.
Doug doesn't.
I know what he's thinking. Yeah, Susan and her husband, they're brilliant.
And her husband too.
Over there, but I should have moved to the States years ago.
Yeah, you should. You can still come back. Doug doesn't do it for the money. He does it for the love of frustration.
Yeah, the level of frustration.
That's why we do it.
Now, we've met a lot of good people on it,
Yeah.
through Move On and through and
Definitely.
doing this, and I appreciate you coming on, John. This is pretty, it's pretty.
This
We
is
like
awesome.
talking to people. Have you met Colin Sanders over there? You know who he is, right? The triangular UFO.
Sanders, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
triangular UFO author.
He
Oh
wrote-
no, you're not talking about Colin Saunders.
Saunders. Yeah,
Saunders.
yeah. Well, his British isn't that great.
I met him personally. I know Colin. The triangular UFOs. Now that's interesting because if you look back through the thousands of reports behind me in their files, back in the 1990s, predominantly triangular UFOs were massive.
Right.
All over England and all over the UK. And a guy called Victor J. Keane, I've got all his stuff here as well. He was, it's like saying there was probably a triangular UFO that went over every night and one every day. But what we're talking about there, the triangular UFO, we're actually talking about 3 separate globes of light, which are set at an equilateral distance from each other, which then in the night sky makes it look like a triangular shape. Now, over the years, I've spoken to witnesses that have seen these things come up into the sky. One of the globes has then moved away over the horizon and then come back later. So I don't know what that is about, but triangular UFOs. Then we go back to the Adamski stuff, and we also
George
Adamski.
Yeah, George Adamski. But what he saw was a triangular UFO, although it would not have been named as that. And you're talking about a saucer-shaped object with 3 globes set underneath the base of it, set at an equilateral distance from each other, forming a triangle. And from underneath, you would see a triangle. If it landed, you would probably see a saucer-shaped object.
Oh.
And my archives are flooded with reports, and they go back to the 1930s as well, and even in Victorian times. So the emphasis should be on what the hell triangular UFOs are about, because that's basically, and how do we know there isn't just one object? How do we know there isn't just one UFO?
Oops. David Marler wrote a good book too. Yeah. Yep, another book has all the documentation like you have too at the British.
Nice chap, very nice chap. Yeah, smashing bloke. Yeah. But going back, sorry, gentlemen, going back to Rendlesham Forest, I spent many years down there. Fascinating place, and witnessed quite a few. I also filmed a square-shaped object hovering over the forest in December the 27th, 2000, along with a number of other witnesses. And the media wasn't interested in it, but I have the film. I think it's on YouTube somewhere. But the forest is fascinating because if you can imagine, and I'm taking you into Rendlesham Forest now. So we're in the forest, middle of the night. It's very quiet. You don't even hear many animals. And we would be sat there, and I won't use the word meditating, but you'd be sat there in a group of 6 or 7 people, and you'd be thinking about obviously stuff about the forest, but you wouldn't say a word. And then suddenly you'd hear a bang, and something would land near you. And you swing your torch round and you see a stone. Well, bearing in mind it's a forest, it's a thick forest floor. There's lots of stones, round, polished pebbles. And you go to one stone, it was cold. You go to another stone and it's hot enough, you can hardly pick it up. Now, you probably heard about those. They're called apports of stones.
Right.
So where the hell has that stone come from? And I've been there and witnessed many of these stones. So are we saying that there's a portal there? Are we saying it's paranormal? Are we saying it's poltergeist activity? I don't know. All I know is what I witnessed myself. And as I say, it's a fascinating place. And I'm hoping that Colonel Holt will come back over next year, because that's what it's all about. But I got one of those stones examined by a scientist, and the scientist said the amazing thing about apports, the stones, is the one that was taken outside the control area, which would been there for donkey's years, is obviously an old stone. The new stones, the apports, were more or less brand new. They hadn't been there very long. So how the hell do you work that one out? Who would
Yes.
put up stones like? And some guy, some nutter said to me, he said he thought that the birds at night were flying with hot stones in their beaks.
Wow.
They're heavy carry birds. How big are the stones, John? How big are they?
About it's in the size of your hand.
Oh, wow.
That's
Well, about that big. And
Right.
I did actually another case back in Birmingham in Washwood Heath. I think Sir Arthur C. Clarke was involved in that. He
really.
dispatched a film crew over to Thornhill Road, Washwood Heath, Birmingham, because these houses were being hit every night by stones. And you never heard this story, but the people used to wear steel helmets because it was so dangerous. They had the police, they had the army
Oh,
there.
wow.
They couldn't stop these stones falling. When we went there many years ago, what I found fascinating, and I'm sure that you can connect this, that the one house that was getting all the stones, the back garden, they got a path made of headstones from a local cemetery, and somebody had pulled all those headstones up. Now I've come across this quite a few times with not only with ancient monuments, but things that have been moved can generate something. And again, I'm not a scientist, but I can only tell you what I've witnessed and experienced. But it's certainly. But I do hope that you. I know if you don't want me asking, what was your sighting then,
Mine?
gentleman on the right?
Oh,
Yeah.
mine. Yeah, my first sighting was about around 79. I was 10 years old. It was part of California where there is a refinery. Um,
Yeah.
I'm in the back of the car. My mom's driving. I had never heard of UFOs. I think I was into Star Wars because we're talking 79. So Star Wars was like 77.
Mm.
As we're driving, I look over and there's a giant smokestack. And there's three what I would consider like
Right.
saucers from the side. And they were very glowy, like
Right.
bright yellow, and they were just kind of going behind the. And I'm like, that is not a plane. That is. I loved planes and jets and helicopters as a kid. So as I'm watching, I'm just watching, and I'm like, they're going very slow. They're right in line with each other, and they're just moving. And I'm like, Mom, what's that, Mom? And she's getting mad because she's driving, and she's like, shut up, leave me alone. She won't look. And I'm like, no, look at that.
Yeah.
What is that? And that lasted about 2.5 minutes for us driving to go see my dad. That was my first sighting. I've had a few other sightings after that, but yeah, that blew my mind. I knew it wasn't a plane. I knew it wasn't a helicopter.
But how come you mentioned three? You see,
3 saucers?
Sighting.
Yeah.
Oh, sightings. I've had
Three.
Yeah, the
No,
orbs.
no, you said you saw 3 saucer-shaped objects.
Yes. There was 3 of them, and they were in a line with each other as they're moving.
That's right.
Yes.
But when you say they were in a line with each other, if you viewed them from a different perspective in the sky, you might not see them in line with each other.
Correct.
You might see,
Yes.
forming triangle.
Yeah, they were about the same size. So if you say one was here and then you went over it, that was about the same size. But right, they could have been, and I couldn't even technically tell if they were saucers. They were just shaped kind of like cigar, like football, a little bit fatter in the middle.
That's right.
And I would assume that they were saucers, is what I kind of assumed. But they were glowy lights, and they were just moving very slowly. But yeah, around summertime of 1979 in Richmond, California is where it happened. But,
Right. Yeah. If we had time, I'd get Shirley to take the 79 folder out and look through what we've got in summer for 79. So that's how much stuff
You have.
we've got.
Yeah.
Do
It
is your place open to the public where you have all this documents?
Yeah. Do you still have that?
Well, the truth, gentlemen, the truth is always important. We put out hundreds of flyers around the Stratford-upon-Avon area last year, which is, if you like, Shakespeare country, and we get an awful lot of Americans and Japanese come over there.
Right.
And we naively thought that we don't charge, but we naively thought people would actually want to come.
Right.
And not one person has contacted us. We've put thousands of flyers out on the internet,
Wow.
social media,
Wow.
and not one person has come to have a look at it. So you tell me why there's so much apathy in the subject. But we've had film crews. Film crews are quite they're quite regular here. But the trouble is, again, gentlemen, is that people come up. Our biggest problem in this business is that we tend, as I'm not a filmmaker, but filmmakers tend to single out a specific incident. We could take Roswell, we could take Rendlesham, and concentrate on it, and then offer a number of reasons why it can be explained away rationally, or was it aliens?
Right.
But when you consider how many other bloody incidents have happened around that time, which are completely ignored, and it was the same with the 1977 February for Broadhaven County Primary School, when the kids at school saw this thing on the side of the hill with what they said looked like alien occupants or humanoids. They weren't the only ones. Many others saw them, but people just, I don't know what it is. I can't explain it, but I think it's very odd, mainly because the subject is intense. There's been so much happening over all these years that have gone. And yet when the newspapers publish anything about the UFOs, it's tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like over there, but here
It's got a little better.
it takes a proverbial, and makes people that have the ball. Sorry, I wanted to say the balls, but you're not a tennis player.
Yeah.
That have the guts to come forward
Right.
and say what you say, and that is so important. And yet that's one of the reasons why we're not going forward, are we? We perhaps are really going backwards in a lot of ways. I mean, we had the waves in the 70s, 70, 77, 79, 80, the waves in 1990. I have found here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 15 files that big.
Wow.
Covering 2 years. And those are personal sightings of UFOs that are seen all over the country. And yet, who's interested? But it has to be done, because the reason why I'm doing it is because of the people that really, I mean, we've got a lot of files from people that have passed away. The stuff must be a bit like David Marlin. The stuff has got to be protected.
Yes.
It's got to be preserved.
Exactly.
Because it is our history,
Right. And it might prove to be something, when this all does come out. So you're right.
Well, that's right. If we got rid of everything, well, what would that achieve? It would make it, one of these days the truth will come out, but I don't think it will be. I don't know. It probably won't be in my lifetime. I know you young lads, you might see something.
Young.
But,
Yeah, maybe.
I'm 55. I'm not that young.
You don't look 55.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Question before that squared UFO you recorded, was that in 2000, December 27, 2000?
That's correct.
That's it. Okay. So yeah, I found you're right. The video is
on, you found it?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's really good.
It is good, and
yeah, it's a really good video. I don't know if anybody can see that.
The interesting thing about that is that I managed to track down a couple. I don't know. This name's gone. Sue and Tony, and they took identical film at Sidewell B Power Station.
Right.
2 years later, that's in Suffolk. and it's the same UFO. But
Really?
they also saw what appeared to be occupants, things
Oh.
coming down and walking along the beach. Now, I find that very hard to come to terms with, but these people are genuine. I've seen the film. So what's the connection there? Is it to do with nuclear power stations?
Right.
Is that something to do with it? I mean,
That's
yeah.
insane. That's
Yeah, there
nuts.
seems to be a
So
connection
yeah.
with nuclear
But
power.
Rendlesham,
Yeah. Is Rendlesham
I'm
open
sure.
sorry, John. Is Rendlesham open to the public, or is it you got to have permission to get in there? Is it
No.
still?
It's open to the public. And the strange thing about all of this, when it happened back in the end of December 1980, bearing in mind there was an awful lot of activity in 1980 itself, not only in December, but in other months of the year. And it is an open forest, but it's been decimated over the years. And the original so-called alleged landing spot
Probably
is
gone.
no longer there because the trees have all been taken down.
Oh.
But one of
Wow.
one of the most informative of women I ever met down there with Shirley is Brenda Butler. Brenda Butler wrote Sky Crash in 1983, and after information was passed to her from one of the guys on the base, the Americans, that he's seen this UFO coming down from the sky, and then there were aliens coming out of it. I actually tend to regard that as I don't believe it. And don't forget, I've seen some amazing things down there, and I know what Colonel Holt saw, but I'm fully convinced that that didn't happen. So why? I do have my own theories about it, because in those days, of course, the Americans were sending planes up, and they were recording what was going on in Russia, the same that the Russians were doing to us.
Oh yeah.
And before the internet, these films were loaded into capsules, and I think one of those capsules crashed into the forest. That's just a theory. Many
Oh.
other people will say it was aliens,
All right.
but there is a lot of substantive information that goes with that as well, to suggest to me, or it was a satellite. Brenda's colleague thinks it was a satellite and always has done. So we're back to the old problem. There is UFOs are very good for camouflaging things, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are for years.
Yeah. What do you think about the paranormal and the UFO or extraterrestrial connection? I mean, do you think that's the interdimensional, could be part of the interdimensional fact theory?
Well, you're right. Many people in this business have. Is that you, Shirley? It's all right. Shirley's doing something with the cooking.
Shirley.
Hi, Shirley.
Tell Shirley, come on, so we can see her.
Hi,
Tell
Shirley.
no, she's too shy.
Come
It
see
sounds
us.
like a
She's
mouse behind me. Sorry, but, yeah, a lot of people have said, people like Lord Hill Norton, Reverend Paul Inglesby, he was his mate, and many other people, and professional, powerful men have thought there is a connection. And you know something, I really believe there is, because Shirley and I went up to Loch Ness.
Oh wow.
Fascinating, at Loch Ness, Scotland. And the thing with Loch Ness is that over the years, there's been lots of sightings of objects as well, triangular UFOs,
Oh,
paranormal
Oh wow.
incidents
I
happening
didn't know that.
on the side of the lake. And a lot of people, my feeling is that I've written something up about it, but there is a lot of evidence to indicate that it is perhaps paranormal or supernatural in origin. And then, of course, there is that link between UFOs and the paranormal, which once I thought couldn't possibly share the same thing. And now, looking at the evidence and what people have told me, we're talking about a similar phenomena. So then do we say that what happens on the ground is paranormal and what happens in the sky is UFO? Again, I don't know, but it is all food for thought, isn't it? He's
The
looking at his watch. He's thinking, time for it. Time for his gin and tonic.
It's gin and tonic. He's already started those. You just can't see this off camera.
yeah, the paranormal. When we were at MUFON, you know, we're really not allowed to talk about cryptid, or it's not that we're not allowed. They discourage it, I guess you could say.
Non-UFO.
You know, they don't consider paranormal. You know, talk about paranormal stories. You know, in MUFON when we have our meetings. Yeah.
No disrespect there, but you can't ignore the bloody truth.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You have a sighting, a UFO sighting, and somebody once said to me, they're quite right, that everybody that sees a UFO or maybe doesn't see a UFO is their life is changed.
Yeah.
And it's obvious that the energy that these things give off can cause all sorts of problems in the house. I've so many reports like that, mechanical, electrical, and also cause problems with somebody's eyes, somebody's body, somebody's blood, and then also then things start to happen in the house and strange shapes are seen. I've so many reports like this, and eventually it will settle down.
Yeah.
But a lot of people over the years have thought you cannot. Obviously, the paranormal and supernatural is a different phenomena, but the evidence tells you they aren't. So for you to say that about MUFON's attitude towards it, and I again, no disrespect to them because I know MUFON, fantastic group, but for Christ's sake, you know, you can't ignore that. So but you and I aren't saying it's supernatural or paranormal, but it's very similar to what people are. It's what people have reported. So you can't take that. You can't remove that out of the equation, can you?
I don't think so, but you know, it's just interesting that they discourage that. What they do is they end the meeting and then they say you can talk about whatever you want now.
Well, that's right.
You know, they say if you don't integrate one subject into the other, you can't tie the knot together. To me, you know, if you don't put those two things together, you know, just
I don't know
separate
if
them.
you can see. Can you see that?
Whoa.
Yeah.
What is
I can't see it very well. Can you see? You can look and see what you see. Oh, you can see it now, yeah?
Yeah.
It's like a rock or something, right?
That's a rock with half a silver bangle in it.
Oh.
Wow.
That a meteorite from South Africa, a gentleman called David Bryant, who sells them and knows all the astronauts. And again, I've got to be careful here, but he's written books on why the Americans didn't go to the moon. And you might think, well, that's odd, but he knew all the astronauts and the Russian astronauts as well.
Right.
But that rock came into his possession, and it's been tested, and it has what appears to be part of a silver bangle in it. Well, it's 96,000 years old.
Oh wow.
Shouldn't have that.
No journal, scientific journal or astronomy journal or whatever, was interested in covering that story at all.
Right.
So we go back to that's frightening, isn't it? To think that maybe in 96,000 years or 96 million years, people will find bits of us.
Right. So like these guys should have been around.
Yeah, they'll find our plastic still.
Yeah, our plastic's still
be around.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Starbucks.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, it is amazing, and it's captivating. It's you can't believe that Shirley's still doing it. Shirley, come over here a minute.
Hi, Shirley.
Come on in, Shirley.
You do the archives. At least you can do, Shirley, is show your
come
face.
on, Shirley.
Show your face.
Come on, Shirley.
Hi, Shirley.
Come on, Shirley.
It's like,
Okay, right.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Shirley.
Hello.
It's Doug and Matt. How you doing? How are
I'm
you?
doing fine, thank you. And you?
Keeping him in
Fine,
line.
thank you.
Are
Yeah,
you keeping him in line?
yeah, you're fine.
Is
I
it-
can hear you fine.
Oh, right then.
Oh, no, they don't want to know about the archives.
Thanks, Shirley.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
No, she's brilliant. Yeah, she's been very. And apart from that, I know she doesn't mind saying it, but she is a very good cook, aren't you, Shirley? I love one of them, Shirley. One of those pies, and I'll just say to the gentleman, okay.
on that note,
What's your favorite meal there that Shirley cooks?
What's
There,
my
John.
favourite meal, Shirley? She says I like everything.
everything.
Yeah, I
No,
do
she's
too.
brilliant.
Obviously, I do.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, it's probably very rude to do this, isn't it? But
No,
I like.
nah.
This is not the.
I like it.
We're not monetized, so you can do whatever you want.
Exactly. Yeah.
They can't do anything to me.
Yeah, they can't shut him down.
All right, John, we're gonna wrap it up. John's eating some candy or something there.
Yeah.
No,
I gotta get some
thank
candy.
you very much for listening to me. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yes.
It
It
was
absolutely
very.
is. And I'll keep you updated and about the next two books.
On
Yeah.
eBay is where
eBay.
you're selling them.
And the
John
name-
Hanson.
Haunted.
Yeah, the books are available on eBay. Now there's a triangular
Yep.
UFO there.
Policing the Haunted Skies. Yeah.
Placing the haunted guys. That was the
Oh, nice.
volume 2. and
Office
this was-
copy.
Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome.
And that was written. That's a serving police inspector
Okay.
is involved in that.
Roy Teague.
Most unusual.
All right.
Yeah. But I love doing it like you. It's my passion. You
Yep.
know.
Yep.
Just like us. What
Passion
we do.
for being frustrated.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay. I hope you don't get locked up, by the way.
Probably. My wife will bail us out.
Thanks, gents.
It's
Thanks
nice
for
to meet you,
listening.
John.
Thanks for listening to the
It's a
latest
big
episode of the Alien Probe Podcast. We welcome question, comments, or requests to alienprobepodcast@gmail.com. Visit us on Facebook. Check out our website, alienprobe.net, Twitter and Instagram at alienprobepod. Check us out and like and subscribe, YouTube and Rumble at Alien Probe Podcast. Thank you, John Hanson and Matt. We'll
Thank
see
you.
Nice to meet you,
Gentlemen.
brother.
See you
Thank
next
You'll
time.
switch me off then. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Thank you.